Welcome back to the Missionary Position Podcast. We're doing something a little bit different today because we get to turn the mic around and ask Ruth, who you get to see week in, week out. We get to ask Ruth the questions that we've made today so that we can understand her part of the story. She can tell stories to us and we can hear the heart of Ruth in missions. So, welcome everybody. We're here in the Philippines. Ruth and I have been missionaries here for many years, and we're going to go and follow Ruth on her journey from Middlesbrough here to missions in the Philippines. How that happened. So, let's start. So, we're diving into her journey from Middlesbrough to missions, a mom of 5 children and a wife to me, living here in the Philippines. There's lots of information we can get out of Ruth that will really open our eyes to missions, from culture shocks to calling that she got and how it changed her life. So let's grab a brew. I've got mine. Hopefully you've got yours. Let's go on a journey. And this is going to be a bit raw, but hopefully a bit funny as well. So, interview questions for Ruth. Let's start at the beginning. Okay? For people who don't know, who is Ruth Newlove? Who are you?
Ruth Newlove is a freckle-faced, red-headed girl you ought to know, like Pippi Longstocking. Well, Ruth is a Christian chav from Middlesbrough. I'm the eldest of 9 children. I spent a year in school in Scotland when I was a child because my dad was in Bible school there. And they said when we came back to England, I had a Scottish accent. So great training for the mission field. I went to 2 Catholic schools, secondary and primary, and I was at FCJ, a Faithful Companion of Jesus. That was my secondary school. And then I had the honour of going to a Reg Vardy college, which I absolutely loved. It was a Christian-based college, the King's Academy, and I used to cry down the corridors because I was so happy and honoured that I got to be in this like Christian environment for school. It was in the King's Academy that I met Terry Virgo, and I was so inspired every Monday by their Bible studies and their love for God, and it really challenged me and encouraged me to be a missionary. I helped run the Christian Union in the college, and I also ran an Alpha course while I was there, so I loved it. I'm extremely creative. I did fine art, English literature, and religious studies in college. As a teenager, I was very creative. I wrote many journals. I was in lots of different singing groups. Musically, I play the violin and piano. I love seasonal change, so I love to move my furniture around to make me feel good. I love fresh. I love new. So obviously, everything can't always be new, so I love to move things around to create a new, fresh atmosphere. I'm just an ordinary girl, nothing special. I just know that God called me to be a missionary from a child.
You're very special, actually, to me. So you're not ordinary in any way. And the more you listen to Ruth and subscribe and get these podcasts, you'll understand that she's not an ordinary person. How did you, Ruth, end up then from where you grew up to here now on the mission field in the Philippines?
Well, like I said, from a child, I wanted to be a missionary. And so when I got to the end of college, I went to visit a couple in Derbyshire who was running like a missions house with lots of different people living in it who were interested in missions. And I went for 3 weeks in my summer and I loved it because I had a plan to do teaching English as a foreign language. And my aim was to be a missionary in China as a single person. I didn't think about being a missionary married or with kids because I thought it's very dangerous in China to be a missionary. But then that same summer that I went to Derbyshire, that's the summer that I met you and your family, and you invited me on a mission trip to the Philippines. But obviously in that time, we knew that we were going to get married. And I was in this conflict that I really wanted to be a missionary, but I also knew I was called to marry you. And my dad reminded me of a story about Ruth Bell Graham, the wife of Billy Graham, who was brought up in China to missionary parents, and she wanted to go and be a missionary back in China. But when she met Billy, in order to marry him, being a missionary in China wasn't on the cards because she had to serve him so he could fulfill his ministry. And my dad told me, you're meant to marry Andrew, so maybe you need to sacrifice your dream of being a missionary so that you can serve Andrew's dream and he can get God's calling for his life. And so love will make you do crazy things. So that's what I decided to do. So I married Andrew, and it was quickly apparent that we both really wanted to serve God with our lives. And just a few months after we got married, we got pregnant, and then we lost that baby. And it was like our whole world came crumbling down. And we realized that losing this child, it gave us a huge sobering reality that when you're building your own kingdom in life, it's worthless if you lose your children. So we realized, and we already knew, but we knew we needed to build God's kingdom, not our own. And so it gave a fire again for missions. So we decided to push all the doors we could to find out where God wanted us to go. And so we were pushing doors of America, different locations in Canada, so many different places trying to push. And we thought, we'll go anywhere but the Philippines. Because like I've shared before, we went on a mission trip to the Philippines the year before we got married, 2007. And I did not enjoy it. I went home and told my mum, I've been there, I've done that, and I don't want the t-shirt. I don't need to go there again. Little did I know I would still be here, as an adult later on. But so we decided, God will go anywhere, just not the Philippines. And we were pushing all these doors and we couldn't get to go anywhere. Then we decided, let's go on vacation, on holiday to Greece, because we were really at a wall. We didn't know what to do. We went on holiday to Greece, and we were in the hotel room, or I was in the hotel room praying, and I was saying to God, look, I've told you I want to be a missionary. I'll give my life to be a missionary. Just show us where to go. And I heard God say, I've given Andrew a gift. Tell him to use it or he will lose it. And I knew in that moment, it's the language of the Filipino people. So when Andrew came back in the hotel room, I told him what God had said, and he also replied to me, we've got to go to the Philippines. That was September 2010, and by January, February 2011, we were here as missionaries in the Philippines full-time, and we've never looked back. So that's how I got here from Middlesbrough.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, reminding me of that story. I was coming in with ice cream from downstairs, and I saw your face when I came into the room, and I said, what's happened?
Yeah.
But actually, God had spoken and given us clear direction for the future. Do you remember that first yes moment to God? And what did it cost you? What was the first yes moment in your life?
The first yes moment in my life, I think when I was a child, my church, Tees Valley Community Church again, but it was a manual fellowship at that time, were videoing in from Florida, the Pensacola revival. And every night we would go to church and watch videos that Albert Dickin had brought from Florida for us to re-watch what was happening in the Pensacola revival. And every night I would go to the front to the altar and cry and give my life to Jesus. And I think it was on that floor of that church that I really encountered God for myself. Even though I was brought up as a Christian and loved Jesus and knew that was right and everything, I really encountered God in that moment and said yes to him. And I think a fire was lit in that moment for all my mistakes and wrongdoings. From that moment, nothing could shake me from wanting to say yes to Jesus. But I do see lots of people think yes is a positive word and no is a negative word. But for me, no brings boundaries and safety. Whereas yes, if you say yes to God, you don't know what he will do with it. It can be very scary when you say yes to God. So yeah, it will cost you your life. Not just your life, your personality, your heart, your future, your plans. It's really hard to say yes to God every day, because even though you've said yes as a child, it's every morning you've got to get up and say yes for every day that you're with him. And that's a suffering that you never knew was possible as a missionary. It's really hard, but very worth it.
Very good. Awesome. That leads us actually to the next area of questions, which is the call and the cost. So, was there ever a time that you thought, while you've been here on mission, no, I can't do this? You just want to give it a big no. I'm done.
Yeah, every day. I mean, what time is it? Yeah, it's every day is a battle. Every day there's a mindset of like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. Whether it's just shopping. Shopping is really hard here. Like when you're a Westerner, when you live in England, you've got the malls, you've got Teesside Park or whatever. Like you can just pop in and find something. You can find shoes in your shoe size. So many things are just small battles every day that you've got to tackle. Yeah, there's been really hard situations where I've thought, oh, like I've been called here by God. Do I really have to face this now? But I think you always say that you measure everything to your worst experience. And for us, I think our worst experience is losing children. So once you've lost children, you measure everything to that pain and that loss. So there's almost nothing that you can't do for God, because once you've lost your children and you'll still follow God to the last breath, he can face you with any obstacle and suffering and you can do it for him. So yeah, it's really hard and it's a really hard lifestyle. And lots of times I think, oh, if I just had my own home, or I'd just love to like have my own farm and, you know, have wallpaper on the walls or carpets on the floor. But yeah, that would be such a luxury, but that's not what God's called us to do.
Yeah. What was the hardest part about stepping into missions long term? Not just visiting, but staying. What was the hardest part for you?
No dairy.
To begin with.
Yeah, I think coming and having to eat rice every day was like really hard for me because I don't like rice genuinely. As a British person, I ate rice with Indian takeaway, Chinese takeaway, that's it. So like no scones, no celery. The celery is really soft here. There is celery, but it's so soft and I love crunchy, hard celery. Just like everything's uncomfortable, so there's not a lot of comfort. So everything you do is uncomfortable. The cooking is uncomfortable. It's sweaty. The sleeping, there's mosquitoes, always sleeping with a fan. It's just an uncomfortable life. And I know this environment we're sat in looks comfortable, but we've built this little small area of a studio to be in comfort. Like, but you don't know that the aircon in this room is not in this room, it's in the next room, and we're filtering the aircon air into this room. So I get that this might look, what they're talking about, they're missionaries. It's not very uncomfortable. It's beautiful, but this is just like for this podcast. So yeah, it's very uncomfortable life. It's hard, yeah. I miss comfort, yeah, the comfort of the West, yeah.
Okay. Enjoy your comfort, guys, those that are watching in the West.
Enjoy your fresh milk. There's no milk here.
You've talked before about loneliness and culture clashes. The podcast, a few podcasts ago, was really funny about the clashes you've experienced. From those things, loneliness and culture clash, how have you managed to keep your heart soft when you've experienced those two things?
Yeah, it's a really lonely life, but I think the answer is just the cross and Jesus. Knowing that I'm no different to anyone else, that I deserve salvation like anyone else, which is we don't deserve it. So keeping humility as like my primary goal. The Bible tells us to humble yourself or God will humble you. So like we have to intentionally choose to be humble. And for me, that's not having a British mindset. If I have a British mindset, I will have a hard heart because so much of this culture is the opposite of a British culture. But if I seek to understand this culture, it gives me grace to adjust myself to this culture and understand that God's grace is enough for me. I've got to have grace for the people in their culture that they can't see anything wrong with what they're doing or how their mindset is. The more British I stay, the more lonely I am. The more I adjust to Filipino lifestyle, the less lonely I am. So I know on the Doulos Hope and in OM, they teach that if you're from the West, the hardest place to adjust to for missions is Southeast Asia because so much is different. Like just the weather alone is so hard. So just maintaining like a daily mindset of trying to stay humble and trying to understand people from their viewpoint, and always like sacrificing my British culture that I'm not always right and my way is not always the only way. So yeah, it's very hard, but it's great because it keeps me humble and soft in a way that who am I What if I'm hurt? Like, that's okay with God. He's comfortable with us in our pain and suffering, and that's fine for him. So,
Beautiful. How's God surprised you along the way? How have you learned something new about God in this process?
that he cares. That really surprises me. I think it surprises me that God cares because I've come to this understanding that he's okay with us being in pain. Like he can take his time to answer your prayers. He can take his time when you're suffering and hurting. He knows in the long game it's beneficial for your future, so he will let you like live within that suffering and that pain. And as humans, we think that's not caring. Like, no, as a parent, you would like rescue your child straight away from pain. So the surprising thing is when God shows what we would see as love and care and compassion to us. So an example of this for me is our children's schooling. Our children were in a Filipino school, a very upper class Filipino school for 10 years. And it was a lovely school. But then after COVID, some things changed about it, their values, their morals, and we really struggled. We were seeking the school for help with one of our children, and they weren't willing to meet us on a parental level. And it got worse and worse and worse until I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I definitely can't homeschool. I am a chav from Middlesbrough. I am not called to homeschooling. I salute all of those amazing American country mothers that homeschool and find the joy in it. That is not me. I can't do that.
Well, you did experience it for a time through COVID.
Yeah, and I got depressed. And I had a baby in that section as well. But no, for the sake of my children's futures, I mean, my eldest, Melody, wants to be a midwife. I don't have the capacity to teach her that. So I was saying to God, like, I cannot send my kids to this school anymore, but I don't know where to send them that's going to give them an education as good as England. And so I prayed and prayed, and I got to the end of my rope. I couldn't sleep at night. I was crying out to God. I think I might have to go back to England and leave Andrew in the Philippines and take the kids for the sake of the schooling. It was like that. And I wasn't really sharing it with anyone, but I was desperate. And just as one last thing, I went on Google, as you do, go on Google. And I just typed in International Christian School, San Fernando City, which is our closest city, San Fernando City, which is the city Andrew was brought up in. And it just came up, this school, Champions Academy. And when we looked at it, we knew that, we know the founder of that school. He became a missionary here when Andrew was a child. He's married to a lovely Filipina lady. And so we thought, let's go see the school, but we won't tell the kids. So me and Andrew went to visit the school. We were very apprehensive because we were in this terrible situation with the other school, and our kids were really suffering. And so we were very apprehensive, asking many, many questions. They only opened till grade 8 at that time, and our daughter Melody was going into grade 8 for the next school year. So we were thinking, is this going to work? Will she only be in this school 1 year? Is it worth it to move her? And Andrew has like fears of moving kids from school to school. He really didn't want to move the kids, and I just couldn't do it with that previous school anymore. And so after we went to visit this school, we got back in the car and Andrew said, we'll give God 1 week to answer and then we'll make our decision. But after about 3 days, he came to me and said, we're moving schools. So we went to that school. We still hadn't told the kids. We went to that school and we enrolled all the kids. We signed them all up and we paid, praise God, for their tuition, fully paid before they even knew they were enrolled. And then we didn't want to disrupt their final exams at their current school. And then when they finally finished their exams, we told them, okay, we've got some news. We're taking you to a new school to do their entrance exam. And they were like, what? Yeah, we're going to start a new school. And they were all amazed, excited. And we went for the entrance exam just for like an hour or so. And when we picked them up, they said, we don't want to come home. We love it here. And they hadn't met any students yet, just the staff. So we were like, we thought like, it's just rose tinted glasses, it'll wear off. But we're now in our 3rd year of this school, Champions Academy. And every time we go to a school event, I'm crying every time because God cares. He answered my prayer in a way I thought not possible. I don't think I would have found a school this good for my children in England. This school puts God first. My children are learning memory verses every week. They lead praise and worship. Their confidence has grown. Like this school is just an answer to my prayers from God. And it's 3 years and it wasn't rose-tinted glasses. It's an amazing school. So God's care is what really surprises me, because I think when you live as a missionary, and it's uncomfortable, you think, okay, I'll just make do. But with something that matters so much, like my kids' futures really matter to me. Like it's a real big priority. I want them to get the calling God has for their lives. The school's important. And so it's fundamental to their future. So I'm so blessed by God that they have this school and this answer to my prayer. So God's care for me surprises me.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah. Anyone who's listening, God cares. He really does. Don't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does care. We have been in the Philippines a long time now. Those of you that are watching and don't really know us, we are actually in the Philippines. This isn't like a room that we've set up in Stockton somewhere in England or another country. We are in the Philippines. And some future podcasts you will see us going out of this room and Ruth doing other things, and you'll get to see the ministry that we're doing here in the Philippines. But for this time, it's important to get to know Ruth and a little bit about what this missionary podcast really is trying to aim to and go towards. So with us being here, this January will be 15 years of us ministering in the Philippines and living out here. Almost the whole life of our eldest daughter. So Melody wasn't even 1 year old yet when we came to the Philippines. She had her first birthday here, and she is now 15.
Yeah, almost 16.
Almost 16. So with all this time that you've been in the Philippines, what do you love the most about the Philippines?
The tabo. That's a joke from our last episode. No, the people, without a doubt. The people are the most beautiful people in the planet. And maybe I'm biased, but they're just amazing, so loving, so generous. They've got nothing and they will include you in their eating. Like, just amazing people. They're so rich, and lots of them don't even realize it, but they're so rich in their humanity. Amazing people, and they deserve to be like lifted up, praised and honored for it. So definitely the people. The food's pretty good now, 15 years, you adapt.
Yeah. You said they're so rich. Well, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because you say the word rich, people might think wealthy.
True. No, they're not wealthy. They are poor. The community that we live in is very poor. So there is the rich Filipinos that live in Manila and the cities and things like that. But where we live, it's very rural. I said before that we're surrounded by rice fields. And our community is extremely poor. So every day looking for that day's meal, that day's food, praying for enough money for school, lunches, things like that. But they are rich in other ways. They are rich in being able to survive with nothing. Like in England, if you don't have any food for the day, that's it, you're done. If you don't have any shelter, you're done. But here, they don't have food. They will go out and find food. I mean, from the trees, from the neighbor. You will invite them in your house and feed them. And they're happy. They're happy in that. And that is a richness that cannot be like measured in finance or money or gold. It's they have a richness that cannot be taken away from them. And that's why they always come out resilient every time. No matter what they face, they come out on top, because I think they have a humility from God that just goes beyond what the West can handle. So that's the challenge, really. That's what keeps you humble, because you think, oh, you're a Westerner, you've got all the answers, you've got all the tech. But Filipinos look at Westerners as weaklings. They look at us like they can't handle life, they can't eat rice. Like, what's wrong with them? So the people are amazing, rich in very different ways, not financially, but in every other area possible. And sometimes, most of the time, they don't even realize it.
So the people, okay. What part, Ruth, of the culture to this point still stretches you?
The corruption.
Oh,
it's like whatever you need comes with a free slice of corruption that's not forward thinking and really hard to adjust to. So the majority of people's mindsets are in survive. When you live in survive, you cut off everyone else's need for the betterment of self, which is very selfish and actually evil, according to the word of God. So as a nation, it's so rich, but it's kept so poor because of the rich that just think about themselves. The poor get poorer and the rich get richer. You have to learn tactics and systems of ways to do paperwork and life. Isn't a British way of doing it. I've seen British people come here and be like, well, I'm not doing that because my conscience won't allow, and that's fine, but then you won't ever get a visa. So it's like you really have to adjust yourself to the way they do their paperwork, just as an example, or you're never getting your papers. And like sometimes even on a receipt, it will say under the table payment. I mean, like, you have to adjust to that, that's just, and that's the way it is. And until the Holy Spirit will infiltrate the culture and do something else with it, I have to adjust to that style. I mean, in England, we pride ourselves in not being corrupt. We love everything right and correct, and we love to follow the rules. But then that does come with like dogmatic negativity and no freedom for family. But yeah, that can be exhausting, the corruption side of it. Yeah.
I'm reminded that when they hear that you can speak the language,
Oh, yeah.
when they hear you can speak the language, one of the comments that comes back to you is, oh, we can't rob from you, or we can't joke you, or we can't take something from you. And so that's already built in the culture. They see a foreigner, and if they know you can speak the language, it's like, oh man, we can't exercise corruption.
Yeah, that goes back to the colorism, though, of the mindset that the white people are totally rich and, and cushy, which, Westerners are cushy compared to Filipinos. So kind of it is true to a point. But they think like, oh, because they're Westerners, let's get what we can get out of them. We deserve this because they've had a fulfilling, cushy life in the West. We've had a hard life here. We deserve what we can get out of them. And I can understand that mindset now. I've been here long enough to understand, yeah, it's not fair. Life is not fair. But that's the hardest part for me.
How do you stay British then? How do you stay British?
Drink tea every day.
Non-British.
Yeah. I stay British by drinking tea every day if I can. I mean, the tea bags we've got now are really bad, aren't they? We're really suffering right now. But I drink tea every day. I love England. I'm proud of being British.
Senti.
Senti, yeah. I'm proud of Cadbury's, sad that America bought it out. But, I'm very proud of being British. And how do I stay British? I mean, that's not kind of an aim that it's not like a plan of mine to stay British, but we do Christmas as British as possible. So at Christmas, we will try and get as cold as possible. We will try and make a Christmas dinner. We try to find a turkey. There's been some miraculous years where we found turkeys. We've eaten turkey, mashed potato, all of the trimmings. If
we found it in the shop, not just like roaming around, just to clarify.
Yeah, found a turkey and killed it. Yeah, so it's not my aim to stay British because I'm in this whole lifestyle, like what I've said, of adjusting to be in the Filipino culture. My aim is to be as Filipino as possible, to reach the people here in love and bring them Jesus. But obviously my blood is blue, I'm British. I can't help that. And I'm proud of that in the sense, but I won't allow that national pride to stand between me and my love of the people, because the way they do things is the opposite of a British way. So I'm sure I annoy a lot of British people because I've adjusted a lot to this lifestyle. But I hope that I can maintain some kind of humility. And, every culture is different and no culture is wrong in that way. It's just always an adjustment. But I love England, and I'm praying for England right now. It needs prayers. Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us a funny story of where you have misunderstood the culture, or something you can look back on now and laugh about.
Oh, yeah. So many stories of embarrassing miscommunications on my part. But I think the most expensive one so far is the church windows.
Ouch, yeah.
Yeah, so the bonus of the story is we didn't get the windows we wanted because we got the windows we were given. What happened was... What happened was... Andrew's parents visited from England and asked us to get a quote for the windows to see how much it would be. So Andrew went to the local glass man in Backnorton Town, which is where we live, and asked him to come to the church and give us a quote, measure all the holes, the doorways and everything, because we wanted a full glass front church building. And so the guy came and measured all the spaces, But then Andrew took his parents to the airport, so he wasn't there. And then the guy came to our house and he said to me in Filipino, "Where's Pastor Andrew?" And so I said, "Oh, he's not here. I'll send him to your shop." And so he said, "Okay, thank you, ma'am," and left. Then when Andrew came back from the airport, he came in the house and his face was like red and like really shocked. And he said, "I need to talk to you. Come here." So I was like, "What's wrong? Who's died? Like, what's happened?" And he said, "Did you tell the glass man to put all the windows in the church?" And I was like, "No, of course not. No, I didn't even see any glass, like examples of any glass, because I really had a mindset of like how I wanted it to look and the frame around the glass. I had like a plan for this. I'm very creative." And he said, "Well, the windows are in the church."
I drove past and saw that
The windows are already in the church. And he said that your wife said to put them in. Well, I will say, and I will go to my grave saying that I was duped in this moment. I never said that. I did not say that. But this is a miscommunication that I have to take the blame for. And so basically, it ended up being that he put all the windows in because I'd told him he could go ahead and do it, even though we didn't choose any glass or frames. And he told Andrew, "No, your wife said to do it." So he'd done it. And then we owed him like 81,000 pesos, which is over like £1,000.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things of the culture of the Philippines here is something they call utang, which is owing money. And it is very common for people to borrow money here. Very unhealthy for family life and very unhealthy financially. And as a church, we teach no utang. We teach it is very unhealthy to be in debt. And we encourage people not to be in debt. Yeah. So we want people as much as possible to get out of debt so that their money is theirs to budget and do everything with and be blessed with. So it was very embarrassing that Sunday because I had to get up on the stage and tell the church that everyone is so happy for the new windows. Obviously, they're already in the building. Yay! Everyone's so excited. Okay, well, I have to tell you all that we now have 81,000 peso debt. And everyone's like, what? Very embarrassing. But praise God, in about 4 weeks, all the church members pulled together. And now we managed to fundraise from the church members enough money to pay off this debt for the windows. Didn't get the glass we wanted, and we didn't get the frames we wanted. I guess it doesn't matter anymore, but it was a funny experience of miscommunication that, it's my fault and I'm willing to take the blame for that. So there's lots of instances like that where I make big boo-boos because I only understand part of what's being said, because my Tagalog's probably like 80% only. So there's that, 20% that can be used against me, or I'm fully to blame. So there's a lot of situations like that, right, where I have to be humbled and you have to show grace. Oh, sorry.
That was an expensive miscommunication. So let's ask you a question about family life. You're a mother of 5, okay? What does mission look like with being a mother and having a family here? Many people, they actually hold back to going on missions because of children. And we as a couple decided we will take our children and do missions and missionary work with our kids. So what does that look like for you?
Well, we came when Melody was 10 months old, and when we arrived, I found out that I was pregnant with Evangeline. I was really sick. So we've had children with us from the start of our missionary journey. And like I said at the beginning, I had no plan to be a married missionary with children. I wanted to go save China alone. But yeah. So for us, it's just family life. We're missionaries together as a family. So when we go on mission trips, we take the kids. We do it within a time frame that's correct for schooling and everything. We want them to use their gifts and talents for God's kingdom. Our children are learning and speak the national and local dialects. It's very important that they can adjust to this culture and understand so they can have friendships. They play with their friends here. Yeah, they're white, but that can't be changed. That's just part of life. So we encourage them to be involved in every area of ministry and mission life. I think the kids are waiting to join New Love Missionary Training Centre. They really want to be like batch, 10 or something. They always ask, can we join? But we've been called to do this, and God knew that we would have our 5 children with us. So that's God's responsibility to give us opportunities for them to grow, and also God's responsibility to provide for them, because he called us to do this with our family as it's grown. And we believe that they will find all of their future life partners and their future callings as we follow God. So whether he calls us somewhere else, whether he brings the right people here to meet them, that's totally in God's timing and God's hands, and we have to trust that to God. Again, I think it's, as humans, we love to be in control, but for us, when you've lost children, you've got no control. So once you've experienced something where you're totally out of control, it's just wiser and healthier to trust God and give him all the control. So we just include our kids as much as possible. They have their own likes and dislikes about the culture, and that is totally fine and valid, just as they would if we lived in England. So we just include them in everything, and they love getting visitors, especially, and treats from England.
That's true.
Right.
Some people send us boxes from England, and the kids love to open those boxes up with whatever's been sent to us. I've had people ask us, actually, while we've been here, don't your children miss England? And it's hard to answer that because they've been here all their lives. I think if we took them to England, it would be, don't they miss the Philippines?
Well, we did. In COVID, we went to England for a time.
Yeah.
And they really struggled, and there was no school and lockdown and everything, so they were like locked up in the house. Yeah, they really missed the Philippines. But you know, where God calls you, he will provide for you, and he will help you to adjust there. So it's not like our children were destined to live here. It's like, this is where God's called us to be, so this is where God will keep us. And if if he calls a family to go to England, their children will have to adjust to the British way of life. So there's the pros and cons of it all, and you just have to trust God with that.
Yeah. I think if you keep your family as a unit and do everything together, that's helpful. You're not separating your kids from what we're doing as ministry.
Yeah, it's not like this is our job and our kids are not allowed to join in. This is like, yeah, it's our job, but the job doesn't end. It's like our whole life is this. Yeah, it's very holistic, like we keep saying. It's not like a 9 till 5. It never ends. So, yeah.
Okay. You've led people who've misunderstood you along the way. You've led people here, and they've misunderstood you along the way. What's the thing that keeps you leading those people when it would have been easier to walk away?
Okay. The loyal people. I've had misunderstandings with people, and then it's been healed, and it's fine. That's just life. You can move on and love each other and continue life. So, and then we've had misunderstandings with people where they won't, fix it, and they won't move on. And that's like part of their response to it, and you just have to deal with that. What's kept me is God. It's always God. Again, when people hurt you, when you get misunderstood, it's humbling, and getting humbled is one of the most painful but greatest things that can happen to you, because it, reminds you what you're doing here. It's not for you. You're not building your kingdom. You're building God's kingdom. So sometimes being misunderstood is part of daily life here for me, because even just seeing that I'm white, I can be misunderstood by people that I don't know naturally, and I just have to accept that. I can't go around and be like, no, don't believe that about me. That, we're not meant to care what people think about us. We're meant to do what God's called us to do. So you just love everyone that you can in the best way that you can. And when misunderstandings happen, you approach each other with humility and try and fix the situation. And I've got wonderful relationships with people here that we've had misunderstandings because we're from different cultures, but we can forgive each other. We can move on. It's fine. That's normal family life, whatever culture you live in. I think while we're here, we are definitely a funnel of blessing and favor for people. And I've seen God's hand, like, if people have not been willing to fix things with us, move like the funnel of God's blessing to other people and other places, off people. So there's been people under our blessing and under our favor that have like either gone against us or not been willing to fix things. And then without our doing, God's moved the funnel to other people, and the blessings, like the blessing continues to flow and the favor continues to flow, just the direction goes somewhere else. So again, it's just like we are a channel of blessing from God to the Filipinos. And then it's like, who's willing to get under that like funnel of blessing and receive from it.
Great. No, it is good, because what you see is then God's faithfulness continues, and you're just helping guide the funnel.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's helpful. Okay, let's talk about this podcast. Like the heart of it. Like, you've created the Missionary Position Podcast. What made you start it? Why did you pick this name?
Yeah, actually, it was all God. I am not the kind of person that likes to be at the front. I don't like to be seen. I don't want the limelight. So this is something that I don't want to do out of myself, out of my flesh. But I just really felt God challenged me to do this, because a lot of people don't see or hear my perspective as a missionary. I had an experience when the Doulos Hope came last year. People were really interested in asking me lots of questions. And then, but there was like no forum or way for them to hear my answers. And I think that it's really important, especially when people want to be missionaries. They need like someone who's gone before them and done it to encourage them to have the faith and the strength that they can do it too. And if like a chav girl from Middlesbrough can do it, you can do it. Literally anybody can do it. It's just a yes to God. This podcast is totally to share a window into my world as a missionary. It's not like a mum's vlog recipe thing showing you how I make my cakes.
It's really delicious.
It's not like that. And I'm not looking for like mumsy, whimsical, aesthetic vibes in any way. I'm looking for these words to go out and call people. Missions is declining. People are declining as missionaries. And the call is still there to go, and people can't hear it unless it's said. So I'm using my voice to call people out to be missionaries. And I really didn't want to do this. Like I said, it's been a big spiritual battle with God, and I kept putting it off and saying, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. And then I would have some kind of spiritual attack and be like, see, this is why I don't want to do this. If I step up and do something, I always get attacked like this. It's really hard. I can't handle it. And it got to like the beginning of this year, and I had loads of content to share, and I just kept saying to God, like, I do not want to be in front of a camera. I don't want to talk. I've got a really strong British accent. I'm funny to look at. I have red hair and freckles, it's not my comfort zone. But God spoke to me and said, I'm not looking for the qualified. I'm looking for the willing. And it really hurt me, because I was like, like people always say, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And I think, does he? Does he qualify you? Not usually. Sometimes he doesn't qualify you. You're still like fumbling through and at the mercy of his grace. Yeah. But it's like he doesn't call the qualified because they're busy making money and building their own kingdom. He calls the willing. And so it's like, are you willing? Are you willing to be a servant of Christ? Are you willing to go to the people that haven't heard? And that's the challenge to you. This is what this is for, to call you out and up, to say like, somebody in Instagram asked me a question I put on my stories. If you could ask a missionary anything, what would you ask? And someone put this question, which was, when you're a missionary on the mission field, don't you feel guilty for the people that you've left at home who haven't yet heard? And the truth is, I don't. I don't, because I haven't been called to speak to them. But the people at home should feel guilty. I don't have the capacity to reach them because I'm called here. Now, if I'm called here and don't do anything about it, then I should feel some kind of guilt and remorse about that. But you have to know where you're called to. So if you're called to your home culture, that's where you lead, and that's where you spread Jesus. It's all about where is the location you've been called to. And like, are you willing to just go? So don't wait for, will God call me? Because like I said before, he's never not going to call you. His call goes out, and those who are willing will answer. So this is what this is. This Missionary Position Podcast is a call out. And the name, the name is really for clickbait because nobody wants to hear, millennial mum missionary. It's boring. And in my opinion, and it's like, so cushy and soft.
If anyone has millennial mum missionary.
I mean, I'm really proud of being millennial, like we're the best generation. No, but I'm proud to be millennial. And I'm proud that I'm a mum or whatever. But it's like, I'm not the audience I'm looking for is people with a bit of an edge. I'm quite a real person. I don't do any frills. I'm very honest and open, but I don't put myself out there. So if you meet me in a room, I will not share my life with you. I will let everyone else talk and just let you have the space because I'm comfortable with that. I'm not insecure like that. But this is a position that I have to get myself in of humility to talk about my life as a missionary. And the call is, are you willing to position yourself as a missionary? Because the Great Commission is for everyone. It's not for a select few. It is a call to all Christians. So how are you positioned as a missionary? And is it working? And that's what this podcast is about.
Excellent. That makes it really clear. It's really good. Thank you. What do you hope people listening, or what do you hope that people in the rest of the world, let's cut this, I keep messing up my question. What do you hope people listening back in the UK take away from these episodes? I'm not going to say UK.
In the West.
Yeah. So, what do you hope people will take away from listening to your podcast?
Well, my audience, I'm praying that the audience will be the West. This podcast is not for Filipinos, although Filipinos obviously are totally welcome to listen to it. I'm not speaking in Tagalog. I'm speaking in total English because this is a podcast for the Westerner to call them up to missions. I hope that people will be motivated to move themselves. If you position something, you've moved it to a position. So the aim is to move you, whether to visit here, whether to financially support us or pray for us, whether to pray for the missionaries you already know, whether to send them an email, whether to pray that your kids are missionaries, whatever it is, you've got a responsibility in this call. And if you're not doing anything, it's time to position yourself correctly in this missionary life.
Yeah. Do you ever feel torn between wanting to inspire others and wanting to sound like you have it all together? You could just do a podcast of all the good things, all the things that you've accomplished, and you could make it really look like you've got it all together. Do you feel torn between those two things?
No, because I don't sound like I have it all together. My life, I'm not living to inspire others. I'm living in obedience to Jesus. So people might question what I do. I don't have it all together. Every month we're still on our knees asking God to provide for us. And it's been almost 15 years. So, we don't have it all together. And I'm not the type of person that tries to make it look like I do. So no, I'm not torn. I'm real and I'm okay with that. And I think you have to accept that God doesn't call people that are perfect and he doesn't call people that have it all together, because people who have it all together would never leave their homes and their businesses and everything to go be missionaries.
What's an encouragement then that you could say to someone who is like terrified but wants to do missions?
I think you need to find the root of why you're terrified. What is the cause of the fear? Because the Bible teaches us that fear is a spirit. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but he's given unto us a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. So fear is a spirit. So you've got to ask yourself, why are you terrified? What are you actually terrified of? Is it failing? Because even if you don't become a missionary, you're going to fail. Is it lack of finance? Welcome to life. At some point, you're going to have not enough money. Money comes and money goes. Is it not knowing the culture? I mean, like, if you're a Christian living in a Western country, you're already at war with their culture as a Christian. So I would really go to the root of what is the fear? What are you terrified of? And then once you've battled that fear and that spirit, move, become a missionary, do the call, answer.
Do it. Yes, do it. Let's do some quick fire questions to ask you. You ready?
Ready.
All right. Okay. This is just for fun and personal information. Okay. You know some of these already if you've been listening to other podcasts that Ruth's done. Right. Are you ready?
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Rice or roast dinner?
Roast dinner.
What's the most British thing about you?
My blood. I'm a Viking.
That's not British.
Probably my accent. I'm from Middlesbrough, and I think when you met me, you thought I was from Newcastle.
Yeah, very strong accent.
Lots of people thought it was a Geordie. If I get with people from my location or my family, like my voice is really strong, you know. And I just went to England last month in September and stayed in my sister's house. And we say things like, "Away, come on," you know, which means "come on, away." And so, yeah, probably my accent.
What's your favorite Filipino word or phrase?
Grabe.
What does it mean?
Grabe. It's like an expression that means like, "Oh my goodness," or "wow," like that. Like,
It's an amaze.
it's a dramatic amaze expression. It's very chavvy, yeah, super chavvy, and so grabe. And so loads of Filipinos go grabe.
Yeah, taking the mick out of you.
Yeah, taking the mick out of me. Yeah.
One thing you can't live without on the mission field.
Tea and water. Because tea we've run out of, and it's really hard. We get terrible headaches because you know it's a drug and we're addicted. So tea is really hard to live without, and then water, because I don't know if you've ever lived without water. That's also really hard to live without.
She means clean, drinkable water.
Even water from the well. We've had times where we've had no water in the house, and that is really hard.
That is hard.
So the two things, you know, I'm not you know, a princess. I just need tea and water. Not asking for anything special.
3 words to describe your life right now.
Expectant, pressure, and love.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ruth, thank you for letting us know.
Thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for giving us the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for letting us turn the tables today. For being real and giving some insight into Ruth's life. If any of you have any questions you'd like to ask Ruth, I can come back on and ask her your questions again in the future. Thank you about the cost, letting us know what it's cost you and the joy that you have. Okay, so for everyone listening, this is why she does what she does. Not because it's easy, but because obedience is always worth it. So if this episode has stirred you up and helped you understand missions more and got you excited, please subscribe, follow us, and find out more about putting your heart in the correct position, the missionary position, to know what God has called you to do. We really firmly believe that everyone can have the opportunity to do missions, even in a small way, to affect the world, that will actually help us reach the great commission that Jesus called us to do. And one of those ways that Ruth does it is through this podcast. So bless you all. We'll see you on the next one, and be excited for the future. So any final words, Ruth, as we close? She's got plenty to say, but on the next episode.
Yeah. See you on the next episode of the Missionary Position.